So it's been about a year since I sold for the first time at MCM Comic Con London, and it was the most amazing and dreadful experience of my life. And I'm going to be talking about why that is, what my comic was about, and then discuss the future of me potentially selling my work. But first, let me talk about what I'm drawing in the background. This is a poster for my webcomic Keys of Corruption, which the first chapter is actually out now! In a world where only 1% of the population is born with special powers called keys, distressing things start to happen to Rose Kingsley when her mentor dies. This sets into motion a dangerous chain of events that will change Rose's life forever. Keys and Corruption can be found on my personal website, it'll be the first link in the description, or on the icon card to the right. Or if that's not your vibe, you can find it on Manga Plus Creators, Webtoon, or Tapas. If you do go and read it, let me know your review of it in the comments. So onto the actual video. MCM was the first and last time I've sold at a con so far. And the reason why I say it was amazing and dreadful was because I was actually selling for a university project. The whole project was about learning to make and market comics by creating a publishing house, making an anthology containing multiple people, printing, and then selling it. We were split into groups of 8, and I don't know if anyone's had to deal with 7 people in a group setting, but it's very difficult. My course has a lot of big personalities, so lots of people clashed very early on. My group, it festered slightly. The issues festered because we had a lot of people who were either non-confrontational or just didn't care enough. And I was having a rough time in my second year. You can watch my Landlord from Hell video to figure out why. So essentially, the forced group work was the reason why it was a dreadful time. But let's move on to what I actually created, because this is more upbeat. My group ended up picking the theme of mythical creatures, and I chose to write about a kitsune. I love love. So I decided to pick a romance story between one of the last surviving kitsunes and a human adventurer. Milo from Atlantis was a major inspiration for me for my adventurer. This was the cover I made, and oh, would you look at that? That looks like my main character for my webcomic. You should go read that. I'm so sorry, that was such a shameful plug. I'm shameful. Anyway, we only had 12 pages to make a comic, and we weren't allowed to make it a cliffhanger or a prologue to a wider story. It had to have a beginning, middle, and end. And I really struggled for a bit with this. I had about 3 different versions of the story before I landed on one that fit the 12-page mark. And I actually ended up really liking that one. I think because I measured twice and cut once, the story was a lot more cohesive, and I think it got to the point really well. As well as this, it was my first time trying to draw chemistry in a comic, and I think I executed it really well. Considering I made people pay for this comic, I think I'm going to try and sell a PDF version of A Light in the Shrine, but I'm unsure of where to do that yet, so please comment any places that's easy to set up and access for a lot of people. I could probably put it up for free and then have some kind of donation link if people are up for it, but let me know what people would prefer. I actually managed to finish my comic on time, despite the fact that I had so many issues with my script, which I think I may have been the only one in my group to do so, and also have it in the correct format. Someone did finish before me, but their formatting was wrong, so I'm having this one. I won. Let's go. Especially considering I had a lot of stuff going on last year, both mental health-wise and externally too. We were still able to send our comics off to be printed. And when we got them back, I was over the moon. I ended up designing the cover for my anthology too, and I was so happy with how they turned out. It was so eye-catching. It was actually amazing to have a physical book in my hand and be able to flick through it, considering I've only been doing comics for about 2 years at that point. So very green, but the idea of being able to sell something that I'm happy with at Comic-Con, oh, I was ecstatic, despite the declining mental health. MCM drew closer, and I ended up actually being interviewed by the BBC Sounds about the entire thing. One clip they included of me was me actually gushing over my anthology the same way I have just done. So like, slay queen, I love that your attitude has not changed. I actually didn't end up telling my family that I got interviewed by the BBC, and I don't know if I can find that interview anymore, so I'm a little disappointed that I didn't record it so that I could keep it as like a keepsake, but I was going through it. You'll find that's a running theme for this video. I'm a lot better now though, so that's a good thing. Pretty much most of our group issues were resolved by con weekend, so we could all enjoy the days we spent walking around and selling. We ended up having a rota put in place because our group was so big, so I only really worked maybe 8 hours over all 3 days. So in the grand scheme of things, not a lot, but it was an incredible experience, especially as a first-time seller to any con ever. I do not recommend it. So let's talk about my actual con experience. It was a blast. I'm new to the convention scene. All my family's are nerds, but we never really went out to conventions. I've only been to 3 since I've been at university, and that's like the first time I've ever been to any at all. I think the most nerdy thing that my entire family does is my dad wearing like a Galaxy Quest shirt or a Star Wars periodic table of elements shirt. But this selling experience, while being my 3rd ever time at a convention, was just incredible. You know, the people who were buying things were so nice. So I ended up wandering around a lot on my own, and I really enjoyed that. This video may feel like a little bit of a mess, and I'm so sorry. I wrote the script when I was like heavily sleep deprived, but it's okay, because now we're talking about the actual selling. I had a lot of fun watching people from behind the table. Like, so much fun. I love people watching. Seeing people in cosplay or just people pointing out characters that they knew. I did notice that a lot of people walk past booths looking downwards and away from people's eyes. So I think maybe if we had a taller booth, then maybe we could set up more so they saw more of our work. But that's a future me idea. We actually sold a few of our anthologies, which I was so happy about. I remember a young girl coming to our table and asking about them, so I gave the whole spiel about what we were doing and that she can get 2 anthologies and a handmade book for only £10. And I remember she turned to her mum and she was like, "Can I?" And her mum was like, "Well, it's your money." And she brought them. And it made me so happy that I was there watching someone buy our work, and she seemed genuinely interested into the indie/self-made comics. So I don't know where she is, but I really hope she continues that interest. Another thing I remember was being sat behind the table and seeing a Deadpool dressed up as Belle from Beauty and the Beast walk by. I just stared, nodding with a smile, and they must have seen me because they made eye contact and nodded in response. At least I think it was eye contact. They copied my movements, so they had to be. A lot of people were buying some of our side products we'd made as well. I made a little kitsune sticker, and I think we sold a few of them as well. It's so cute, by the way. I'll see if I can get a photo of it. Considering the scale of MCM, we really didn't sell too much. We made back what we'd spent on the side products, which was nice, but I think it's compared to a lot of the stores around us, we looked very amateur, and we were, so I really have no problem with that at all. I also think that maybe having 2 anthologies instead of 1 might have hurt us a little bit, but that's not really too much to be bothered about. Again, this was my first time selling, and it was for a uni project, so whatever experiences I've had here, I can learn from. And I was just there to have a good time. I brought a lot of prints and stickers while I was there, and I did not go over my budget for the weekend. I did spend 2 days worth of money in one day, but I didn't spend anything on Sunday, so it's fine. Selling at MCM was an incredible experience, and I'd love to do it again. I just don't think I'd do it anytime soon. I want to focus on my webcomic to start with, and obviously my social media like YouTube and Twitch, but I really want to make merch of my characters and sell them at conventions with printed copies of my comic. I understand that I might have to have a bit of merch of other shows on the table as well, and I'll do that too, but my ideas would at least take me a couple years to sort, and then a few more years of experience on top of that. So I think it's definitely in the cards for the future, just not right now. I really did have a great time, and it was just an amazing experience overall that has genuinely boosted my confidence as a comic creator heading into that industry. Please consider subscribing if you're still here.